welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, what would serve as a landmark for the territory? Rediscovering its roots has been turned into a legal matter. The Danish government had released thousands of documents in March that would assist Virgin Islanders in piecing its history and genealogy together. A former senator and historian had embarked on a similar quest in 2011, but his endeavors had landed him in court. Here's more.
Former Senator Wayne James, that was indicted on charges of embezzlement and wire fraud in 2015, appealed to the Third U.S. Circuit of Appeals to dismiss his charges, but the federal appeal court rejected his appeal case. The 1878 labor riots on St. Croix, also known as the Fire Burn, is a staple moment in Virgin Islands history. 3 heroines are praised as the leaders of the labor riots, which we know as Queen Mary, Queen Agnes, and Queen Matilda. Reportedly in 2004, Wayne James, a Virgin Islands historian and former senator, uncovered Danish documents that may reveal that there was another queen. As a senator and historian, Wayne James was able to allocate funds from the legislature to obtain, translate, and distribute historical Danish documents to the Virgin Islands. However, in 2015, the United States of America indicted James on fraud by appropriating legislative funds for personal use and benefit. Wayne James, who is also a lawyer, sent his appeal to the Third Circuit Court requesting legislative immunity, which then provides U.S. legislators from punitive, executive, and judicial action. James was residing in Modena, Italy at the time of his indictment and was extradited back to the Virgin Islands in August of 2016. Wayne James' trial is scheduled for July 24th, 2017. For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
According to court documents, Wayne James faces charges on embezzling $10,000 in federal program funds and also additional $5,000 from the local government for his own use. Well, today is the last day to file your taxes in the territory. The Virgin Islands Bureau of Internal Revenue remains open until 9 p.m. on both St. Croix and St. Thomas this evening. Taxpayers who owe taxes must pay their tax today to avoid penalties. Earlier today, tax filers were lined up to have their taxes officially stamped.
Afternoon. So I'm here at IRB filing my taxes. Today, of course, is the 18th, and of course we're all glad for that extra day because we know it's the 15th, but DC had a holiday, so which trickled down to us, and so we got the extra time. I ran away on my lunch hour to file my taxes, and it was seamless. A seamless process. Thank God that it was really easy. Outside under the tent, they stamp it, you drop it off, and that's it. So come on down, you still have time.
Governor Kenneth Mapp filed his personal tax return late Tuesday morning at the Bureau of Internal Revenue offices on St. Croix and used the opportunity to remind all residents to avoid the penalties by filing a return or request for extension by this evening. During his visit to the BIR, the governor greeted those filing and thanked employees for their hard work during this busy time of the year. BIR Director Marvin Pickering reminds everyone about the extended hours, as we just mentioned, on St. Croix at the Bureau's office. The office hours are extended until 9 p.m. On St. Thomas, there's Red Hook until 9 p.m., Niski Center until 9 p.m. On St. John, the office remained open until 5 p.m. So those are closed. Taxpayers who are unable to file their 2016 returns by April 18th, the due date, you're reminded that you can file an extension by using Form 4868. To obtain approval of the extension, the taxpayer must properly estimate the tax liability due and file the Form 4868 no later than April 18th. Now, the extension is only for the filing of the tax return. Taxpayers who owe taxes must pay the tax due on April 18th to avoid the failure to pay penalty. Governor Kenneth Mapp has announced a press conference scheduled for 10 a.m. on April 19th at Government House Christiansted. The government of the Virgin Islands finances, he says, will be discussed, and we will have that for you tomorrow. While the April 8th election is still uncertified at this time, today the Board of Elections St. Thomas District met at their headquarters to discuss legality issues that has placed a halt on the certification of Janelle Saru's win at the special election. Mathematically, Janelle K-Saru won the April 8th elections. However, Kevin Rodriguez, who ran 6th place in the 2016 general elections, has filed an emergency motion asking the 3rd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to block the certification of this special election. The United States Court of Appeals for the 3rd Circuit is a federal court that has the power of higher court to review decisions and change outcomes of decisions of lower courts, such as district courts. At the elections meeting, several attending members blamed the 32nd legislature for acting cowardly and not executing their legislative powers. Police continue to investigate the early morning shooting on St. Thomas that has left a 41-year-old local businessman, Naeem Jamil, dead. On Monday, April 17th, police say about 3:33 a.m. a citizen called 911 and reported shots fired in the area of Bolongo Bay. Upon arrival to the scene, the officer observed a male sitting behind the driver's seat of the vehicle with what appeared to be blood on his clothing and body. The deceased was later identified as 41-year-old Naeem Jamil by a family member. Police Commissioner Delroy Richards said officers at the scene encountered the victim's brother, who told officers he had been waiting for the victim on the stoop outside their residence when he heard shots ring out. When he went to inspect, he found his brother's car. Jamil succumbed to his injuries at the scene of the shooting. Richards said multiple shooters opened fire on Jamil's car at the same time. Based on the cartridges, some of it can be described as semi-automatic handguns. Richards said Jamil and his brother jointly owned Tootsie's and Club 75. Now, any persons having information regarding this incident, you are asked to contact the Homicide Investigation Unit at 340-774-2211 or 340-714-9830. You can also contact Crime Stoppers VI at 1-800-222-TIPS or 911. Well, during company announcements at Innovative on St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, the grand reveal of the new name of the merged company of Innovative and Choice was announced. The Better Together team of Innovative and Choice Wireless and the CEO, Alvaro Pilar, talked about the new branding and the new customer experience. Employees also learned more about the mission statement of the premier local telecommunications provider in the USVI. Customers were advised of the abbreviated hours ahead of time to facilitate that important early morning company meeting for St. Thomas, St. John employees and St. Croix employees. The offices on St. Thomas opened later at 10 a.m. St. Croix offices opened regular hours but closed at 3 p.m. Now, the new brand was revealed to employees ahead of time, but it will be shared during the grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony at the Tutu Park location on St. Thomas. That's coming up Wednesday, April 19th at 9 a.m. A nationwide manhunt for the suspected Cleveland Facebook killer came to an end earlier today, almost 48 hours after police in Erie, Pennsylvania got the tip that investigators nationwide were hoping for Steve Stephens was spotted. There was a short pursuit in which the vehicle was stopped and the officers approached that vehicle. Steve Stephens took his own life. Police wanted to capture Stephens alive because there are still so many unanswered questions. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the New York Stock Exchange, the Stock Market Watch. According to the numbers there, we can see the Dow down 113, the NASDAQ down 7, S&P 500 also down 6. Coming up on NEWS2, there's a lot of banging, painting, and stocking happening at the Fort Christian parking lot as the village is underway. Highlights coming up next. Time for our Carnival Corner. There's a lot of banging, painting, and stocking of shells going on at the Fort Christian parking lot. And it's a big deal when all is said and done because it will be transformed into a meeting place for friends, lots of food and entertainment. Plus, it's a centennial commemoration for our 65th Carnival celebration, the Carnival theme. So we should see some exciting, colorful designs like that one there. And of course, the young ones will be able to enjoy the Children's Village with Coney Island type amusement rides and games of chance. April 21st is the official opening of Wang's musical Haven, honoring Wang G. Harrigan, and that begins at 6 p.m. Last evening, it was the Roy Lesher Schneider Hospital's annual pre-carnival celebration, and that began around 6 p.m. The children parades aren't until April 28th and 29th, but the residents of Schneider Regional Medical Center, St. Thomas, they got a sneak peek of the festivities on Monday. Following years and years of tradition, carnival performers and royalty came to Schneider Regional Medical Center to get a preview. During the show, the newly crowned Carnival Queen, Princess, and Prince and the Royal Court, they made their first public appearance. Meanwhile, the young ones showed off their skills with the batons. It's not just an affair for the hospital's residents, but also for the community, who usually come out to get a glimpse of the fabulous St. Thomas Carnival in advance. Tonight, it's the Junior Calypso competition, that kicks off at 8 p.m. at the Lionel Roberts Stadium. Young Calypsonians will grace the stage to compete for titles in their respective divisions, which are the primary, intermediate, and secondary division. And they will be judged on lyrics, melody, clarity, presentation, originality, and rendition. Now, those are some of the students they're preparing. Now, you can listen to the artist's songs on SoundCloud, and they were all arranged and recorded by Robert Leonard. Now, some of the participants include Amari Amigos Phillips of Lockhart Elementary School, Castilla Italia Princess Italia Roach from Lockhart Elementary School, Kian the Mighty Q Harrigan Thomas from All Saints Cathedral School, Serenai Lady Serenade Carty from Charlotte Amalie High School. Now, I have been a fan of legendary Calypso King Wadabli's son, Prince Kamoy, since he started at a young age, and he will be competing as well. Best of luck to all the young Calypsonians. Looking ahead, on Wednesday, April 19th, it's Cultural Night, King and Queen of the Band Costume Extravaganza. That's at 8 p.m. Then Friday, April 21st, it's the opening of the Carnival Village, Fort Christian, 6 p.m. Saturday, it's the VI Calypso Competition and International Explosion. Sunday, Panorama or Steel Band Jamboree, that's at noon. And the boat races on the waterfront at 10 a.m. It's called the Motorsports Sunday. Senator Marvin Blyden invites all taxi drivers and owners to the next meeting to continue talks regarding the industry. He said over the past few months, he's been meeting with taxi owners and drivers to discuss insurance for drivers and their families. These talks have been ongoing, and the senator intends to continue these meetings until there is some resolve for the industry and its many valid concerns. The meeting will be held at the Legislature building on St. Thomas and St. Croix on Wednesday, April 19th, beginning at 6 p.m. That meeting will be a video conference as well, so drivers and owners on the islands can fully participate. St. John drivers interested in attending the meeting can do so by attending the meeting at the Legislature building on St. Thomas at 6 p.m. Mr. Laurent Saru, Commissioner of the Taxi Commission, is expected to be in attendance. Now, these talks will be focused on the marketing of drivers through innovative technology from a company that Senator Blyden says he mentioned upon his return to the territory from an investor's trip he took early last month, whereby drivers will be able to share profits for marketing of the territory while they transport passengers. The Virgin Islands Department of Education will hold its annual celebration of the Week of the Young Child, and that's at elementary schools across the territory from April 18th to the 21st. The annual activity is sponsored by the National Association for the Education of Young Children and celebrates early learning, young children, their teachers, and families. The territory celebration comes a week ahead of the national celebration, marked for April 23rd to 28th. But in an effort to not conflict with local carnival and spring break activities, that's why we are celebrating early in our territory. St. Croix Elementary Programs Coordinator Giselle Cruz-Peter has announced a variety of activities being held at the district's elementary schools, in addition to a culminating activity at Canegata Ballpark on Friday, April 21st. Well, let's put an end to violence. That's the message a young VI artist is trying to convey. He said after the passing of his friend Bria Evans, he wrote a song that blew up on social media, and with the effort of a few of his colleagues, it was expanded into a documentary. A nightclub shooting took the life of innocent bystander Bria Evans. That shooting occurred on July 30th, 2016, right outside Crush nightclub on St. Thomas. Evans was hit by a stray bullet. Here's more.
You know, a lot of people around the community, if you go around, it's like crime happens so often every day now, it's becoming a normal thing. It's like people like lost hope. It's like, oh, somebody else died. You know, we go and talk about it for a day and it's like, it's gone. It's becoming so normal that it's like people don't care anymore. I want to show people that there's still people that do care and do want to make a change. If you look at the documentary, you see people that were close to Bria, then there were people that you know, might not have even known her, but they're just in the community and they want to make a change. I want people to see that firsthand and just see how that kind of stuff can affect people's family and their friends. Her family is in it. Her friends are in it. I want them to see the emotion they cause from people. You know, you don't want to put anybody through that. So that's our main point. Some of the people involved in the project, well, this was actually a young team. I know the older generation kind of thinks that young people, you know, have basically lost it, and you know, some of us don't even care to get involved in these stuff. But this was a young team, everybody under 30, we all in our 20s, and you know, we want to make a difference too. So some of the people that were directly involved, the producers were Anthony Nibs, Jamal Paris, Janelle Alexis, and me, Karim Thomas, who were the main producers. And then, of course, the cast and crew. Numerous to mention, you'll see them in the documentary. My message for people around this time concerning Carnival and the violence, it's imperative that we, especially push it to the younger generation right now, that we need to hold it down on the violence right now, not only for the sake of people partying, but for safety. There's a lot of people in these venues, there are a lot of young children. We don't need that kind of conduct right now, especially right now. So let's get that message out. I hope Smile for Bria can help. Anything else we can do to help, so that's the most important thing right now, especially for this time. It's imperative that we get this message out right now. So.
Very touching documentary. Be sure to check it out. You can see the entire documentary on YouTube at KDM Sounds. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
As we take a look across the Southern Caribbean here and the Virgin Islands, we are dealing with a frontal boundary here and low-level jet bringing moisture, and we've had some pretty good showers around for today. In fact, around St. Croix, we saw over 2 inches in rainfall there. And you can see how we've had some showers here around the islands. Now, looking at tonight's forecast, we'll still see some spotty showers with a temperature of 74 degrees. In St. John's for tomorrow, 83 degrees, not quite as active, but we're still going to see a couple of spotty showers. Not quite as much as we saw for your day today. 83 degrees in St. Thomas, with a couple of spotty showers. And as we take a look at St. Croix, you're going to have a partly sunny sky with a couple of spotty showers and a temperature of 84 degrees. We do have a small craft advisory in effect. Waves are 6 to 8 feet, and we have winds out of the east at 10 to 15 knots on the Atlantic side. We are going to see those brisk winds continuing through your Tuesday night. On the Caribbean side, waves are 6 to 8 feet with winds out of the east at 15 to 20 knots. Looking at the remainder of your forecast here, like I mentioned, we won't have quite as much activity as today, but we're still going to see a couple of spotty showers around for your Tuesday. A quiet day on Wednesday, a typical pattern, maybe a trade wind shower moves through in spots, otherwise mainly dry for many locations, 83 degrees, and perhaps a stray shower or 2 around for Thursday. Maybe a little bit of an uptick in the action on Friday with a shower or 2 and a high temperature temperature of 83. And then on Saturday, we will also see a shower or two in the area with a high temperature of 83 degrees. Sandy, back to you.
Thank you. Let's take a look at our weather picture by Jose Herrera, first grader. A beautiful picture there, including the rainbow and some sunshine clouds out there and fun in the sun, it looks like. Jose, thank you for that. Send us your News2 weather picture to the address right there and tune in to see it right here on News2. Be sure to include all the information we need. That's all for this edition of News2. But before we do that, we have some sports highlights for you. That's coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News2 Sports. We've only got 3 days into the NBA playoffs, and already we've got some high drama and a very unhappy coach. Over to San Antonio, Game 2, Spurs up 1-0, and it's the Kawhi Leonard show. Second quarter, Leonard with the jumper puts the Spurs up by 22. But the Grizzlies, they claw back. Yes, pun intended. Third quarter, Connolly with the three. Another triple by Connolly. Marc Gasol with the short jumper, and the Grizz are only down by 4. But in the fourth quarter, the Spurs go on a run. Marc's older brother, Paul Gasol, with the three. The Spurs are now up by 13. And Leonard with the slam-o-rama puts the Spurs up by 14. And it's over, folks. Spurs win 96-82 and go up 2-0. However, Grizzlies head coach David Fizdale had a few choice words at the post-game press conference.
He had 15 free throws for the game. They shot 18 times in the paint and had 32 free throws. Kawhi shot more free throws than our whole team. Explain it to me. We don't get the respect that these guys deserve because Mike Conley doesn't go crazy. He has class, and he just plays the game. But I'm not going to let them treat us that way. You know, I know Pop's got pedigree, and I'm a young rookie, but they're not going to rook us.
Coach spoke his mind. The wallet will do the rest of the talking, probably to the tune of 25 large. Over to Cleveland, and we got Game 2, Cavs and Pacers. Cavs are already up 1-0. The Pacers' Paul George played inside with the jam and outside with the three. However, the Cavs' big three came up big. Quarter action, K-Love with the jumper. LeBron with the layup. Kyrie with the three, and the Cavs are up by 18. Cavs win 117-111. Kyrie Irving finishes with 37 points. Tonight, there are 3 games to watch. The Bulls versus the Celtics, the Jazz versus the Clippers, and my must-see TV, the Bucks versus the Raptors. And that's all because of the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's 6'11", he can run, he can leap, he can pass, and he can score. This is the future of the NBA, folks, and scary as it sounds, I like the Bucks to win this series. That's it for sports. Enjoy the games, everybody. Sandy, back to you.
Gary, thank you for that. That is all for this edition of News2. Thank you for joining us for all the latest in news, weather, and sports. I'm Sandra Gaman saying have a wonderful evening.